What if the secret to building serious wealth isn't grinding harder, but accessing a mental zone that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results? How deep focus rewrites your financial reality. There's something nobody tells you about wealth creation. It's not about hustle culture. It's not about working 18-hour days. It's about entering a psychological state where your brain operates at maximum capacity and every action creates disproportionate impact. Scientists call it the flow state. Peak performers call it the zone. I call it financial nirvana. And once you understand how to access it consistently, everything changes. Your relationship with money shifts from constant struggle to effortless attraction. Think about elite athletes for a second. When they're performing at their absolute best, time slows down. Decisions become instinctive. Actions flow without friction. They're not trying harder. They're operating in a completely different mental frequency. The same principle applies to wealth building. Most people approach finances like they're fighting a war. Constant battles, endless strategies, exhausting tactics. But what if wealth creation could feel more like meditation? What if instead of forcing results, you could create conditions where prosperity flows naturally towards you? Here's the thing though, our modern world actively fights against this state. Every notification, every social media scroll, every urgent email fragments your attention. And fragmented attention means fragmented results. You end up busy but broke, active but unproductive, moving but not progressing. The neuroscience behind this is fascinating. When you're constantly switching between tasks, your brain never fully commits to anything. There's something researchers call attention residue. Every time you shift focus, part of your mental energy stays stuck on the previous task, so you're never operating at full capacity. But when you eliminate distractions and commit completely to one cognitively demanding activity, something remarkable happens. Your prefrontal cortex quiets down. Dopamine floods your system. Neural connections strengthen. You enter a state where learning accelerates, creativity explodes, and productivity multiplies exponentially. Ancient strategists understood this intuitively. They didn't scatter their forces. They concentrated overwhelming power at decisive points. Modern wealth builders apply the same principle to their mental energy. Instead of spreading attention across dozens of shallow activities, they channel everything into high-impact work. This is why some entrepreneurs build empires, while others stay stuck in survival mode. It's not talent. It's not connections. It's the ability to consistently access deep concentration and apply it strategically. And the beautiful part, this skill can be developed systematically. What if mastering this one ability could solve most of your financial frustrations? Why? Strategic patience accelerates wealth creation. Now, let's talk about something that sounds completely backwards. The fastest way to build wealth is often to slow down. I know that goes against everything you've been taught, but stay with me because this paradox is where fortunes are made. Most people operate in reactive mode. Market moves, they jump. Opportunity appears, they chase. Problem emerges, they panic. This constant reactivity keeps them perpetually busy, but rarely profitable. Because real wealth isn't built through frantic activity. It's built through deliberate strategy executed with precision. Consider how master chess players approach the game. They don't make hasty moves. They spend time analyzing the position, considering implications, calculating variations. Then when they act, it's decisive and devastating. Amateur players move quickly and lose slowly. Professionals think slowly and win consistently. The same dynamic applies to financial decisions. The wealthiest individuals I've studied share a common pattern. They invest enormous time researching opportunities before committing. Weeks analyzing markets. Months studying industries. Years building expertise. But when they finally pull the trigger, execution is swift and confident. This creates a compound advantage most people never understand. While everyone else is jumping from opportunity to opportunity, accumulating average results, these strategic thinkers are building deep knowledge in specific domains. And deep knowledge creates asymmetric returns. Think about it this way. If you spend 3 months becoming genuinely expert in one specific investment strategy, you'll spot opportunities others completely miss. You'll avoid traps that destroy novices. You'll execute with a level of precision impossible for dabblers. That expertise becomes a permanent asset generating returns for decades. But here's where most people fail. They confuse activity with progress. They think more meetings equals more deals. More networking equals more opportunities. More research equals more knowledge. But quantity rarely beats quality in cognitive work. Your brain has limited capacity for true deep thinking, maybe 4 to 5 hours daily at absolute maximum. The question becomes, what deserves those precious hours? And this is where the 20/80 principle becomes crucial for wealth building. 80% of your financial results will come from 20% of your actions. The challenge is identifying that critical 20% and then protecting your deepest focus for those activities alone. Everything else becomes secondary, because working on the wrong things efficiently is still a waste of time. So what does this look like? Practically, it means saying no constantly, declining meetings that don't move the needle, ignoring opportunities that don't align with your strategy, eliminating clients that drain more energy than they provide, creating space for depth by ruthlessly cutting breadth. But how do you know what actually deserves your concentrated attention? What if your beliefs about money control everything? Here's an uncomfortable truth. Your biggest financial obstacle isn't lack of opportunity. It's not market conditions. It's not even lack of capital. It's the programming running silently in your subconscious mind. Every limiting belief about money you absorbed as a child is still operating today. Every message about scarcity, every warning about risk, every association between wealth and negativity. These mental patterns shape your decisions, sabotage your efforts, and create invisible ceilings on your success. I've watched people double their income and still feel broke. They make more, but somehow expenses always expand to match. The problem isn't mathematical, it's psychological. Their internal thermostat is calibrated for struggle, so their external reality adjusts to maintain that familiar state. The good news? Your brain is neuroplastic. You can literally rewire these patterns. Neurolinguistic programming offers practical tools for this transformation. When your automatic thought says, "I can't afford that," you consciously reframe to, "How can I create the value to acquire that?" Subtle shift, massive implications. This isn't positive thinking nonsense. This is about interrupting destructive patterns and installing empowering alternatives. Over time, these new neural pathways become your default. And when your default programming supports abundance instead of scarcity, opportunities you never noticed suddenly become visible everywhere. Now combine this mindset work with what I call antifragile financial architecture. Most people build defensive structures, emergency funds, insurance policies, diversification, all important, but purely defensive strategies miss half the equation. Antifragile systems don't just survive chaos, they benefit from it. Think about how muscles grow through stress, how immune systems strengthen through exposure, how businesses that survive recessions often emerge dominant. Volatility becomes fuel for growth instead of threat to stability. Applied to finances, this means developing skills so valuable you prosper regardless of economic conditions. Creating multiple income streams that don't depend on single employers or markets. Positioning yourself to capture opportunities when others are retreating in fear. Building resilience that turns disruption into advantage. But all this external work means nothing without internal transformation. You can have perfect systems and still self-sabotage with unconscious patterns. Your inner game determines your outer results. Always has. Always will. Drop abundance in the comments if you're ready to reprogram your financial operating system. And tell me, what's one money belief you inherited that you need to uninstall? If this resonates, smash that like button and subscribe, because we're just getting to the breakthrough strategies. What if automation was your greatest wealth asset? Let's cut straight to the point. Every minute you spend on repetitive tasks is a minute stolen from your capacity to create real wealth. And most people are wasting precious hours every single day, without even realizing it. Here's the simple test. Take your last week. List everything you did. Now ask yourself, how many of those activities genuinely required my unique intelligence? How many could be automated, delegated, or simply eliminated? For most people, the answer is terrifying. Intelligent automation isn't about laziness. It's about maximizing return on your attention. Because focused attention is your scarcest and most valuable resource. When you automate payments, investments, operational processes, you're liberating cognitive capacity for work that actually multiplies value. The most efficient wealth builders are fanatics about automation. They question every manually repeated process. If it can be systematized, it must be. This creates a powerful compound effect. Small efficiencies accumulate into massive advantages over time. But automation is only half the equation. The other half is strategic measurement. Most people track vanity metrics. How many emails they answered, how many meetings they had, how many hours they worked. Numbers that make you feel productive, but don't move real financial results. Metrics that matter are different. What percentage of revenue is recurring and predictable? What's the real cost of acquiring each customer versus their lifetime value? What's your conversion rate at each funnel stage? What's your true profit margin after all hidden costs? When you start tracking the right numbers, complex decisions become obvious. You see exactly where money is leaking, which clients are profitable and which cost you dearly, which products deserve focus and which are expensive distractions. And here's something counterintuitive. Sometimes the best strategic execution is stopping doing certain things, cutting unprofitable products, firing problematic clients, eliminating projects that drain more than they deliver. This takes courage because we've been conditioned to accumulate, never subtract. But true mastery lies in strategic subtraction. Like a sculptor who removes everything that isn't the masterpiece, you need to ruthlessly remove everything that doesn't contribute to your financial nirvana. Every commitment passes through the filter. Does this move me closer or further from my ideal flow state? And you know what happens when you make these difficult choices. You create space, mental space, calendar space, emotional space. And in that space is where the best opportunities appear. It's where you gain clarity to see the next level. But how do you keep that space protected in a world constantly demanding your attention? Why? True financial nirvana transcends money. Let's get real about what we're actually chasing here. Because if you're honest, it was never really about the money. It was always about what money represents. Freedom, options, the ability to design life on your terms instead of accepting default settings. The dangerous trap in wealth building is sacrificing everything that matters to accumulate numbers in accounts. I've seen people destroy their health, relationships, and mental peace chasing financial goals. Then when they finally hit their targets, they feel hollow inside because they optimized for the wrong metric. True financial nirvana is a state where prosperity flows naturally as consequence of alignment with purpose. You're not grinding, you're expressing. Work energizes instead of depleting. Growth feels inevitable instead of forced. This isn't fantasy. It's pattern I've observed in everyone who's achieved sustainable wealth combined with genuine fulfillment. But reaching this state demands something most won't do: preventing burnout. From the beginning, entrepreneurial culture glorifies constant hustle. Sleep when you're dead, work while they party. These viral phrases are prescriptions for destruction, not success. Here's what nobody mentions. Rest isn't luxury, it's strategy. When you're well rested, decisions improve dramatically. Creativity functions optimally. Your capacity for flow states multiplies exponentially. Exhausted people don't build empires. They build fragile structures that collapse under pressure. This is why true masters of financial performance treat recovery with same seriousness as work. They prioritize sleep, exercise regularly, cultivate hobbies unrelated to money, invest deeply in relationships. Because they understand these elements don't compete with success, they fuel it. Then there's building what I call your flow ecosystem. You won't access and maintain this state alone. You need environments that support deep work. Physical spaces designed to minimize distraction. People who respect your focus, boundaries, systems and rituals that make entering the zone effortless. Ancient wisdom traditions understood this. Monasteries weren't designed randomly. Every detail facilitated meditation, from silence protocols to garden layouts. From meal timing to architectural flow, everything converged to create optimal conditions for practice. Your wealth building environment needs same intentional design. And here's the final insight that changes everything. When you achieve true financial nirvana, it transcends money to create genuine life satisfaction. Because ultimately, you don't want to be rich. You want freedom. Freedom to choose how you spend days. Freedom to pursue meaningful work. Freedom to be present with people you love. Comment Nirvana if you're ready for this complete transformation. Tell me, what would your life look like if you mastered this financial flow state completely? If this shifted your perspective, hit that like button hard, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because transformation starts when you decide you deserve more than the financial hamster wheel. This content is for educational and informational purposes only. Financial results vary from person to person and depend on multiple individual factors. We do not guarantee specific outcomes. Always seek qualified professional guidance before making important financial decisions.